folks, and welcome back to my channel, the Scottish Model Railway Guy. Something completely different today. We're going to be unboxing this Flashforge Adventurer 5M, which is a fairly new type of cost-effective 3D printer. So the general plan is that I'm going to do a review on this, but first of all I need to get it open, get a look at it. Apparently it's a really quick setup. I guess we'll find out. But the overall plan is to start creating model railway accessories in double O gauge or any gauge, to be honest, and see how it goes for there, see how it can grow my layout. So hang on, we're going to go straight to the unboxing. And I think first of all it'll be as simple as that, and along there. And then I'll just flip to opening it. Here we go. So I'm going to come up as high as I can so that when I open it, we can get a proper look inside it to see how well packaged it is or isn't. And to me, that looks decently packaged. Very neat and tidy. Seem to have some sort of instructions there. Quick start guide, that's always a good one. Well printed generally. But I guess we'll find out how easy it is to actually get it going. So from there, these polystyrene bits come out. Seems fairly straightforward so far. And then holding that down, we can see the 3D printer inside. So I'm going to do this off camera. There's no chance I'm going to get that on camera, but on the whole it looks really well packaged. Next step is you'll see it out the box. Hang on. Now I'm going to mute it for a wee second while I do this, otherwise you'll just hear rustling and nothing else. Yeah, I think it's time to get the quick start guide now and see how I'm actually meant to set this up. It looks as if there's going to be a bunch of foam that comes away from it, and we'll come down just now and have a wee closer look. Looking at the top, it seems we've got some accessories in there that we're going to have to build. Looking down here, we can see it's all been braced with foam. All very good, all very professional. You can see the finish to it looks excellent. I'm really happy with how they've sent that out, to be honest. So I guess the next thing is to actually build it and see if it's true to the 10-15 minute setup. We shall find out. So the next part is getting the top ready. Looking at this, open the box, remove the foam packaging, take the machine out and place it on a level surface. Done. Remove the filament, power cable, screen and accessory box from the chamber. So here we go. Filament, which is this stuff, remove it, set it somewhere else. Power cable, I'm guessing this is a power cable. Yep, looks like one. Screen, this must be this thing here. It's got two nice bits to allow you to not force it. It's definitely a screen. Looks quite tidily built. Looks as if there's going to be a couple of connections to make, which we'll figure out according to the instructions. Remove the inner protective foam from the extruder. So give me a second, I'm going to pause this. Oh no, I think it's this bit here. The inner protective foam. I'm going to pause this, read it a wee bit closer and have a look and then come straight back. Hang on. Okay, I think I've figured it out. I need to pull something out from the front. And I need to take this box out for in there. So I think it's talking about the accessory box, which is this. I'll have stuff in it, no doubt. And the other one was this, which I'm going to be very careful with because it's close to the extruder, or what I would have called the print head, but I guess that is its name. Next part I will read and then come straight back to you. So it says, move the chamber foam according to the arrow direction. Now I can feel some resistance when I do that, and I think it's on the rack and pinion system that this sits on. And then you take this out of there. Very, very well put together. And now what I'm going to do as I put that foam to the side, I'm going to pause a wee second. In fact, I won't. I'll just freewheel it and see if I can come down for a wee look. at what that looks like now, without too much disturbance. Yeah, looks like a 3D printer now. So, on to the next part of the instructions. Here we go. It's probably worth mentioning that the next part of the instructions shows you everything that should be in, which I'm guessing is the accessory box. I haven't opened it yet, but it should show you everything that you should have to make this happen. And the next set of things that we're going to do is actually sort of enable the printer now that we've unpackaged it. So next steps are now. And again, going to the next page, it's actually very, very good in how it describes what everything is. I don't know if that's in focus, but it effectively tells you, and it's well drawn and quite clear, what each component is, which is going to be very handy during setup. So, opening up the accessory box. Again, very well packaged. Something's moved, but that's okay. Kind of looks like a wee screwdriver, so that's your wee toolkit by the looks of it. This is going to be the first part, the 2 screws and the spool holder, and I believe the reel of filament will sit on that, and it goes on the back, so I'm going to take that out and put it to the side. We've got some adhesive, we've got a wee crazy looking tool here, don't know what it is yet, and then something in here, white crazy, so it's for maintenance. Very impressive, to be honest. I think that's a decent kit to send something out with, because it is quite a techie unit when you look at it. So the next part is to install the spool holder, which is that. Couple of screws, shouldn't be an issue. We need to pause it, turn the unit round, and then I'll show you me fitting it. Now, don't know if you can see that, but there's 2 arrows there telling you exactly where to put it. That's the unit. I'll come over to the white so you can see it. There's a couple of holes there. Stick a screw through. A little bit footery, but not too bad. Get that in there. Yeah, definitely footery. We're going to go again, and this time not drop it. One on. Then I'll go over and get the screw that I dropped and come straight back and fit the other one, which will go, just going to align that hole there. We'll go in there. Now, I'm showing you this because I'm used to dealing with these sorts of things, because I was a hands-on engineer for many, many years. So it's a good judgment of how difficult or easy these things are to fit, because I'm very, very used to dealing with things like this. Don't over tighten. If you were to go long ways that way and over tighten, there's a fairly high chance you're going to strip the thread, and once you've done that, there's no going back from it. So that's that fitted. I'm going to freehand for a wee minute because it makes it a bit easier to see it. I'm guessing the spool reel will mount on there, but we'll find out further on. So the next stage is fitting the filament guide tube to the extruder, and then insert the other end of the filament guide tube into the filament detection sensor. So looks to me like this is a filament detection sensor. There's a similar fitting in the extruder, and it'll be a push fit, much like what you see with push fit pipes. So I'm going to come over the top, freehand a bit. Look in there, you can see the little circle in there. And then if I come over here, the filament detection, you can see the circle there. And then I'm going to try and settle this nicely and then fit it. Now I can only guess it doesn't come fitted for a reason. You can see right now when I put that in there, yep, it doesn't want to come back out. And then when I put that one in there, and then give it a wee pull, yep, it's fairly stuck. Now I'm just going to sort of level that up with each other. What is the black one? My suspicion is it's power and comms to the unit. So it has to be flexible, and it has to be able to move freely back and forward as this goes in its X and Y and Z axes, forward, backwards and up and down. So yeah, that's that fitted, and then we go on to the next part. So with instructions, it's always good to read ahead a wee bit. This is the screen. I'm going to bring it up closer in a wee minute. But the long and short is we're going to join up a comms to the screen, which will also provide power to it, and there's very specific instructions about how to operate this, and I'm going to show you right now. So the front of the screen, it's got a protector, which is good. Always good to see that. At the back, and this bit might catch people out, but there's a little swivel here. Right. I'm going to see if I can get that. I'll do it with my left hand. So that swivels up and down. So the long and short is you put it vertical to get the very thin tape that's here, and it says LCD on it. And that's going to insert in there, and then we lock it by doing that. Now, I'd need about 4 hands to do this, so I'm going to come in a wee bit closer in a different view so you can see that. The other one is these arrows here, or steel lugs, as I would call them. The instructions are saying that when you go to fit it, these 2 holes here, you mount that on there and then slide to the left, and that locks it in place. And it's critical that we get this right. So before I go any further, I'm going to make sure that this is in the right position. So that's in the vertical, ready to take that LCD, but first I need to take that tape off, which we're going to zoom in closer and do that. Now we can see here, there's a securing tape here. Again, all very, very well put together. You need to be very careful when peeling it off of this, because this is your critical. I'm going to use that to lean against it a bit, and very gently and slowly, and don't rush this bit, free that cable. And it is a cable. And then I've prepared this. Again, if we think about it, if I do that, it's going to squeeze the cable and make the electrical contacts. If I do that, in theory, it should allow this to go into it. No problem. In my experience with these types of things, they're a bit of a nightmare. I don't know how deep in it goes. I've got it in a bit. No. Now this is a bit sketchy, this one. No doubt. I'm going to keep going to demonstrate how careful you have to be with it. It also has to be aligned before you clamp it down. Right, that's it clamped. It says there's an alignment line goes across it. If I come here, you can probably just along there see all the contacts being made. Now the next part is to mount that on there and push it left to lock it in position. And I guess we'll find out the success of that when it gets powered up. If it's not successful, I would say this is the bit that could really trip you up. So from here, it's looking as if it's unlocking the build plate, which is the final part before we go on to the print. So here we go. So unlocking the build plate, I use the wee screwdriver that came as a pointer. You see a green arrow there, one there, and then there's another two in there. So, oh, it's 2mm Allen key to do it. And I guess this holds the plate down. So I'm going to come in here. And I'll go through the process so we can see how easy or difficult it is. Very long screw. Yeah, so this must be holding the thing from moving in transit, which is common with a lot of appliances. Although I wouldn't call this an appliance. I'd call it a toy and a potential model railway saviour. And please do remember that this is from a Hornby Metcalfe model railway layout. That is the purpose of it, that's why I bought it. To start making things for my model railway layout. Amongst other things. I'm sure there'll be things that come about in the house or elsewhere that'll be handy. These ones at the back are a little more difficult to get out. But once they're out, my suspicion is you'll be able to lift this table up and down with a little resistance, but I won't push it. These are sensitive units. I'm getting in to get this one out, so a wee bit of a challenge. But there we go. That is the build plate unlocked. So, on to the next part. So, next part in the instructions is plugging it in. If from the UK, you'll recognise these types of plugs. Probably, if I'm being honest, the best in the world. Really good fits. Very simple, as we call it, kettle type plug. Good and secure for the back, and again, fantastically packaged. Really is. How they do this for £220, by the way. But how they do this 3D printer for that sort of cost, I've no idea. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in, and then I'm going to flick the switch. So hang on. So that's us. Time to switch on. All plugged in. Immediately comes up. I'm going to remove the protective cover. And we can see something's going on. There's a fan making a noise. And it looks as if it's going through a loading process. But yeah, success for now. And I guess we'll see how long it... Oh. Initialization. It does take a wee while to load. I'm quite pleased that the screen worked first time, which means I got the seating of the ribbon cable correct. And now I'm going to lift this in freehand just a little bit. You can see it's the language options. Arcania, I'm not sure that's in focus, but basically it's asking if it's English. Now, I'm not going to take you through that whole process, because I'm sure you can all figure out how to select languages and stuff. No problem. And I'm going to jump to the next part, which is preparing for the first print. So here we go. Actually, I'm going to show you something, because after I pressed English, it jumped to the next screen. I'm not sure if you can see that. It says 1, please confirm all packaging materials were taken out. 2, the printer needs to be calibrated for the current environment. Please ensure the heated bed is unlocked before starting calibration. 3, click next. No time like the present. Next. Network settings, Wi-Fi on. So, yeah. I think I will actually skip this bit because it could get quite boring. Then again, it's probably going to start a calibration process at some point. And I'm not going to show you anymore because it's on my Wi-Fi network. I'm going to skip that just now and then see what happens. And you can see immediately the print head starts moving. And the bed's coming up. A little bit noisier than I thought, because I have used 3D printers before at work. But right now I think it's going through a process of setting up. Extruder temperatures at 25 degrees, it's saying on the screen. Platform, it's telling you 28, 29 divided by 60 degrees. See 30, oh, it's actually climbing on temperature, so it's heating up the platform with a set point or a target point of 60 degrees. I can bring that in to show you that. Doesn't really focus on it very well, but yeah. Then I'm going to come out and see what it does next. But yeah, we have liftoff on this 3D printer. Pretty sure it's going through a heating up process and then a calibration process, so I'll pause it, and then when it starts doing stuff we'll start again. Now what I can actually see now is it's heating up the extruder, so the platform came up to 60 degrees and hit its set point. The extruder's going for 230 and it got it, so it's just reached 230 and now everything started to move. And I guess it's going through the calibration process. I don't know if you can hear that, it is a little bit noisy when the fans ramp up. But that's probably because it's not got an enclosure. And I think you can buy enclosures for these separately if you want to start spending it. Close it all in and make it a bit quiet. But yeah, it's one of the things with a hobby 3D printer. For some reason it's changed the set point on the extruder to 120, and I can see the temperature dropping rapidly. It's now down at 170 and falling, and I guess when it hits 120 it'll do other stuff, so I'll just quickly pause and then we'll check it again. So that's pretty rapid. I think it's leveling the bed. Printer is under self-detecting and it may take several minutes. So it's detecting the bed versus the print head, or the extruder I think they call it, and it'll do it in multiple points on the bed and self-level. Pretty impressive technology, considering the price of it and considering it's effectively these days a hobby 3D printer. But back in the day, 4 or 5 years ago when we first got one at our work, it didn't move a fraction of the speed of this. In fact, to make something as simple as, I don't know, a plastic button might have took you 2 hours. So the technology is moving on at some pace. But anyway, for now, there's no point in watching the whole calibration process. It's saying 6 minutes, and that would bore you to death. So it'll come back when it's done. Now, I think it's noteworthy to mention that it does make a fair bit of noise, and you hear some sort of high-pitched noises climbing up as it goes. It's down to the last 10 seconds before it finishes the self-detecting mode, and I guess that also involves the extruder stroke print head. That's it at 0 seconds now. Nothing's happening as such, but it did go through. This is stage 3 vibration, so it's almost as if it deliberately vibrated it to check against vibration. And then the final one would be completed. Hasn't moved there yet, but hopefully it does in a second. I'll pause it until it does. But just do bear in mind that it is quite a noisy process when it's going through the calibration, and don't become too worried. Hopefully. And just like that, it went silent. So what comes next? I don't know. It says completed, but the screen hasn't moved on. And I guess after this, no, it's came up completed, the screen changed, which is good news. And then it says, please load the filament according to the instructions below. Click load. So I'll have to get down and close and read that. In fact, I'll just freehand it and see if I can get it right and about. Doesn't focus well on it, so I'll have to read it out and you'll just have to take my word for it. So here we go. So it says to hang the filament in the spool holder that we added earlier, pass it through the filament sensor, which is a bit at the back, until it's seen from the other end of the filament guide tube. Push it forward to the feed roller until it cannot go further. Please use PLA filament for the first setup. So I'll do that, but I'm going to do it off cam. In fact, before I go, the filament that comes with it is this. It comes in a very well sealed packet, 1.75mm HS PLA filament, burnt titanium. Nice. So I have to cut that open. It's well vacuum sealed so that no moisture can get in, and silica gel in it as well, which is critical. So I'm going to hang that on there, and I hope not be able to pull away, but I guess we'll find out if there's any cross filament. So it's not handy that it comes like this. So I'll push that through there until I see it there. You can see the blue going up through that. I'm just going to keep pushing until it meets resistance like it says. Which it has. And then sort of leave it there. Will that all unwind the way it's meant to? Unknown. Not if I've got a high hope for that, but I guess trust the technology. We'll put that back there. Looks sketchy to me, but we'll find out. If anything, I'll pull it back out. Coming back to the front, do exactly what it says, which is load. Preheating 31, 36, 40 degrees, 46. It's aiming for 220. I suppose we'll see if it grips it. Preheating, it's at 102 out of 220. Might as well see it out now. And take it from there. Feeding will begin after heating. Successful filament extrusion from the nozzle indicates successful loading. Lastly, confirm the filament guide tube is properly inserted. Wow. Okay. I think if I do that, I can see filament being extruded. Yes, I can. Can you see that in cam? Yes, you can. I'm just going to take that away. Hot melted plastic. Got a bit messy real quick there. And yeah, it's just extruding it onto the bed, which I'm hoping I'll just pick off. At the end of the day, I didn't put any glue on it because that is what we do before a print. But yeah, it seems successful, and I'll let you know if it is successful. It says loading completed. Please clean the filament on the nozzle and platform, and then click print. I'm going to stop it there, clean it, and then print, and see what happens. Okay, this is what came off it. Just a sort of little bundle. Please clean the filament on the platform and then click print. I'm going to read the instructions a wee second, pause it, and then I'll tell you whether I have to glue it just now or not. So yes, it says here, please glue the filament residues on the nozzle and platform. Users must apply glue to the platform so as to improve adhesion for the first print. This comes with it. Unknown how this is going to go, but is there glue there? I don't think so. Am I doing it wrong? Maybe possibly. Oh, that definitely came there. So possibly far too much glue, but I guess we'll find out. And I suppose this is where I need to be careful because it starts to get hot. And I'll have to do a clean up job, but also the nozzle will be hot and I don't want to bump anything either, so we'll do that. Glue on it. I'm not going to squeeze it like that again. I think that was the first release. Lid back on. Don't know if you're meant to leave it for some time, it doesn't really say. So that's a miss. It doesn't say that you have to do that. Click print and the machine starts printing the built-in file configured for PLA material, which I have no idea what it is, but let's do it. Cube, PLA, test, and away it goes. Now we'll watch the first part, but ultimately this is going to take, doesn't say how long, I guess it'll tell me in a wee minute once it starts. It's going through its calibration cycle, and then it will start printing the test piece. Preheating's aiming for 55 degrees C. On the table, I think it is. I'm going to pause it here. Oh no, it's climbing fairly quickly. It's at 38 already, aiming for 55. And it's at 40, climbing up again. And hopefully that goes okay and it's not too wet. I don't know if it's sticky or not. It is. But maybe too wet. I suppose we'll find out when it goes to print. I can definitely feel the tackiness in my fingers after having touched it. Looks like the table is getting to 47, 48, and we're just aiming for the 55, and then it will go. Come on in. 5 to go. And hopefully it moves on to the test print. And we shall see. That's really, really tacky now. So it is a strong bond glue. Probably shouldn't be touching that table like that just as it's about to go, but hey, I did. So 54, 55. Now that this has hit its set point, I believe that's a table, the print head or the extruder is shooting up to 146, really, really heats up. It's got a set point of 230, that's at 175, climbing rapidly, and then we'll see what happens when it hits 230. And I guess it'll just go for the test print. When it does, I'm going to time lapse it. This doesn't have a built-in camera, the Flashforge Adventurer 5M. Now it says printing. So I'm going to come round a bit so we can see what's going on. It's leaving a residue of black line. What's it like on speed? Well, there you go. That's what it's like on speed. I'm going to try and bring this all down a little bit. Or in a little bit, so you can see what's going on. And it's very rapidly built up that first one. Now top tip, I don't think the table's steady enough for this. You have to get a steadier table because that fairly jumps about. And yeah, don't think you can see it from here, but it's definitely building that cube at some pace. Still doesn't say on the screen how long it's going to take, but it says it's at 23% already. I'm going to pause there. I think the demonstration of speed is obvious. Yeah, and we'll have a look at the cube once it's done. Fairly impressive, this one. All I can really say is, wow, that was fast. It says here up on the screen, time used 3 minutes, 0 hours, 3 minutes. You zoom right into the cube and then highlight it a bit. That was rapid. Now, actually to the point where it's a bit worryingly rapid because the table started shaking. Now this is just a kid's table, but I'm going to have to get it on something much more robust. But yeah, that was the Flashforge Adventurer 5M. Absolutely fantastic piece of kit. How long did it take to set up? In reality, 20 minutes, I think. Obviously, I was taking a lot of pauses to do some things, but the long and short is it printed this off in no time at all. Now, if I'm right, this is magnetic, and I can just bring it out, bend it a little, and it'll come away. And I'm right. The last thing we want to look at before we go is quality. Again, it all fits wonderfully well. I think that'll clean off no bother. The little remnants. The bed is a little warm. I'll need to make a little scraper now that I can. Looking at the quality of the cube. Good sharp edges. No bits hanging off the end of it. Really genuinely good. Very happy with that first test print. And now, the world's my oyster with the model railway. I can get it doing all sorts, but what I can try and find out is, can I slow it down? Probably is the answer. But yeah, so anyway, that was the test of this. Thanks to everybody for watching. If you watched this far, this is the longest video I've ever done. But I think it was worth it, and I think it will be useful. Plenty of people involved in model railways and 3D printing, and maybe give some food for thought for what you want to do. So please do consider subscribing to the channel. Throw me a like, throw me a subscribe if you choose. But either way, thanks for watching, and see you again, folks. Thank you.